Welcome to Trading the Close on this Wednesday. I'm Toni Valliere with Verified Investing. Here's what's making headlines today. Amazon completes a $4 billion investment in the AI startup Anthropic. Robinhood launches its first ever credit card with 3% cash back on every eligible purchase and 5% cash back on purchases through the Robinhood travel portal. Trump media stock surges again on the second day of trading. The Baltimore Bridge collapse that is believed to have taken the lives of 6 people could also cost Carnival Cruise Line $10 million this year. The collapse is forcing many vessels to reroute as traffic into and out of the Port of Baltimore is suspended until further notice. Let's get a check now of where things stand with the markets just minutes before the closing bell. See that rally return today. The Dow up more than 380 points, 0.96%. The NASDAQ up 58 points, 0.36%. The S&P 500 up 31 points, 0.60%. We've got oil up just slightly. We've got gold up more than $14. And then Bitcoin right now at this moment down $1,300. Let's bring in Chief Market Strategist Gareth Soloway. We also have verified trader and crypto expert Paul Sampson. He'll join us in just a moment. But I'd love to start with the S&P, see where things are, because we've continued to watch that wedge. Yesterday, if I'm correct, did we not break down?
We confirmed it. Confirmed the breakdown. So basically what the confirmation signal again tells us is that the markets have now shifted to expectations of lower action. Now, I'm not saying market investors are still very bullish. Just the charts have now flipped from probabilities to now favor downside. Doesn't mean every day. For instance, today we're bouncing, but as long as we don't recapture, you generally look to sell the rips versus buy the dips.
Okay.
So looking at this, check this out. So markets were basically, we opened higher today. We had this higher, this is where we closed yesterday. We had that late day sell-off. Higher open, kind of faded.
Quite a gap,
lot.
Too.
Yes, that's a big gap right there. Absolutely. This sideways right here, so you can see all day long kind of just sideways, and then we're getting this beautiful little pop into the end of the day. So kind of interesting to see that end of day move. Could be on people hoping for a positive PCE data on Friday. That's again when the markets are closed, so it's kind of like a lot of traders are probably positioning themselves today for next week because a lot of them will go away and they're not even going to be in the office tomorrow trading. It should be a very, very light day.
Okay, let's move on to, I heard a lot of talk in the trading room. I kept hearing NVIDIA.
Yes. Yeah, NVIDIA has been a good trading stock today. There have been some great trading opportunities. Early in the day, it had this massive rollover. Look at how many red candles just down, down, down. This is where that rebalancing is going on. So interestingly enough, you think about what was a good performer for the quarter. Well, it was NVIDIA, SMCI, Meta. Those are the stocks that are seeing selling in these last few days because funds, and again, the best way to do this is an example, right? If you're a fund and you originally at the start of the year had a 5% position of your portfolio in NVIDIA is almost up 100%. So now that is a weighting of almost 10% in your portfolio. Well, most fund managers won't feel comfortable holding that much of the stock. So rebalancing means they sell off to bring that percentage of portfolio down. And that's why you get this sell-off here. We saw the sell-off yesterday. Now today it's bouncing a little bit here into the end of the day. But again, rebalancing will finish up as of tomorrow since the new quarter begins next week. And just on the opposite side of that, take a look at Apple today. Apple's having a robust rally. Up and away here. But again, what has Apple done for the quarter? Well, if you look at Apple, when the quarter began, it was basically trading around, let's see here. So it closed last year at $192. So if this was in a portfolio of a fund manager, this was at, let's say, 5% here. Well, now it's probably down to 3.5% based on the drop. So they have to buy Apple to push it back up towards that 5% weighting. And so that's why, again, you're seeing a robust rally in Apple today. It kind of works in the inverse of what's going on with NVIDIA as these things are rebalanced into quarter end. So kind of cool stuff. As a trader, you look for these type of things to maybe give you a little bit of an edge, saying, okay, well, maybe NVIDIA sells versus some of the beaten down big names might actually catch a bid into quarter end. trend.
All right. Some of the other big market movers: Trump Media, GameStop, Robinhood. We mentioned they've got their first credit card.
Right.
Carnival, Merck, NIO. But Carnival,
Yeah.
I'd love to check that one out.
Yeah, Carnival. So again, you can see it's been very, very choppy. This is the daily chart now. So today it opened a little bit lower. It actually has gone green today on the day. The biggest thing here is this is a whole lot of chop. Like the one thing I see just looking at this, there's a trend line here, right? So it looks like there's a trend line there. And again, you have a little pivot area of resistance up here. So it's looking like it's just kind of came down here and now maybe it'll float back up and we'll have to see which way it ultimately breaks out of the wedge. The bigger picture though, again, is that if you go to like a monthly chart, you can just see how far this is down from where it was trading in 2017 and 18. This used to be a $70 stock, now trading at 17. So overall, not a whole lot of trading opportunities for me. I mean, maybe it kind of chops inside of that wedge pattern we were just looking at. But for the most part, a lackluster day for a company that actually had some news this morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, Gareth. Well, thank you. Unless there's anything else that you think is
No, I think the only things to keep in mind is, and again, we'll talk a little bit about this tomorrow as well, but going into those PCE data numbers, watch the dollar, the 10-year yield, and obviously, I think the S&P futures will be open on Friday morning, but the stock market won't open at 9:30 until Monday. So it'll be exciting on Friday. There's no doubt about it.
Well, that news will come out on Friday, but we won't see any movement. So will that movement, you think, be reflected on Monday? Is that
yes,
what you're looking for?
So it could make Monday morning a very volatile open, especially if the numbers, like one way or the other, it's either going to be, let's say, less inflation than expected where the markets could rip on Monday, or higher inflation where they could get panicked. Maybe the Fed, again, won't be cutting 3 times this year, and that's going to be a big concern for the markets.
All right, Chief Market Strategist Gareth Soloway, thank you very much. Remember, you can always catch Gareth navigate the charts in real time every weekday morning at 9 a.m. on his show. It's called The Game Plan. It airs right here on the Verified Investing YouTube channel, and it will air on Friday. Because of that PCE data, Gareth will actually do an abbreviated show, about 5 minutes or so. So make sure you tune in. He will get a reaction to that data. Let's bring in verified trader and in-house crypto expert, Paul Sampson's in the house. It is Wednesday. It is hump day. So,
come on, baby.
Of course, we want to get to some crypto, and Bitcoin is always getting all the love. I'd love to see exactly where it's at right now, because
Sure.
it looks like it's been kind of hovering around that 68,000, 69,000 mark.
Yeah, it's it's definitely been a little bit of an emotional roller coaster. And the reason I say that is because most people get very excited or very worried at one level, and that's pretty much give or take here, but it's like basically 69,200, which was that 2021. I don't have it pulled up here, but the old all-time high.
Yeah.
We've basically kind of been just dancing around here, right? Just very much so, just ranging around the whole time. You get a few days above it, it seems like it's going to continue up. You get more, a couple days back below, everybody starts like hyperventilating. It's
so true.
But really, it really has been an interesting, to see as a trader.
Unless you're Michael Saylor, he's not holding.
For
his
him,
breath.
he only worries when it starts dropping because then he can't buy the top again. So for me though, just looking at this is the daily chart, really simple little outlook that I've been looking at for the last few days. Once again, that key level being that 69,200, which we're living back below once again. As far as a trade, the trades we're going these last few days here, I pointed out I think last week, right? Like the one trade. A trade that I always look for, as far as like a day, a daily move, is when we come up and we take the previous high or low. You came up right here on a daily basis, couple days. This is I guess a week ago, maybe 2 ago, but this is when we came up to 74,000, and you had a really big move to the downside here. You did the same thing right here, right? This was our daily high. We swept it, came back down. This was our weekly average at the time. And just as far as like the little moves here, it's so easy to like kind of dissect them. Granted, the bigger picture here is still hard to play out. Like, is it going to drop back to 50? Are we going to go straight to 80 to 100? But yeah, as far as the last few days here would go, I mean, we've just been really range bound, and it's really holding around that region. And once again, what did you get here? We had a high. We took yesterday's high, got a little move down. We took the high again today. We're back down to lower. So for me, as far as those weekly averages go, which you can't necessarily bank on them every single week. They don't hit all the time. It's just something to be aware of. But this one was one. This one was one. And then for this week, the average of price is coming in like 65. I know that's a little higher, but like 65 and a half, something like that. So to come back down to that region and kind of live around there and get another bounce is definitely on the table. when I bring up that old box that we were looking at, that 56K, 52K, you know, if we start living down below these regions into the end of the quarter, right? So this is a big thing. You know, Gareth really brought up a big point. The stock market's closed Friday. The end of the quarter is coming up. Just like anything else, crypto, anything else like that, we're going to have closures, right? So when you look at the quarterly candles, if you were to bring them up, or the monthly, to come up and basically take the all-time high on a quarterly basis and close back below, not a really great picture as far as just on, you know, zooming out, looking at data. You know, in 10 years from now, when we look back at it, and it's not going to matter what an ETF or this or that, like it was just like, oh, it swept up, took the high, and you came back down, got a retracement, whatever the case may be. You really want to see how this closes out, like as far as the end of this quarter is going to go. So basically, I guess it would be Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, right? First
Easter.
is on Monday, yeah. So crypto doesn't close, so it'll continue going through the weekend. So it'll be interesting to see how we go. But yeah, right now it's just
don't affect this at all.
No, it doesn't stop. Yeah, it just continues. So it'll be
just like the news.
Yeah, it'll be a fun one. So like by the time I come back here next Wednesday, you know, we'll be in that new quarter. We'll kind of have a little bit of a better picture. But yeah, you know, to me, it's still at 69,200. You want to see the closures happening. We haven't closed a weekly candle above 69,200 yet. And if we come up and if we close below that for the quarter, it just won't look great. Doesn't mean it's a death sentence, but it's just something that, you know, to be aware of as far as just, you know, a technician looking at the chart. So it's very interesting. So as far as the altcoins go, you know, everything's
Bitcoin has always seemed to get the love and respect. Do people just feel a little more secure with Bitcoin?
So Bitcoin drives the market. I know everybody's probably almost tired of hearing about it, like only because the altcoin, there's so many other options. There's like literally 30,000 like altcoins that you can choose from. Ethereum's one of them, and then basically everything else in crypto is considered an altcoin. Just like, you know, you got the Dow and you got the S&P, and then you got every other stock. It's pretty much that. However, same thing, right? When we're looking at this little lineup right here, if the Dow and the S&P, granted they're, you know, composed of other stocks, if they start to pull down, obviously the market is in general. You have the same idea here. If Bitcoin pulls back, like if we're looking at, you know, if I'm anticipating a 10% drop out of Bitcoin, you're probably going to get a 20 and 30% drop out of altcoins, and vice versa. If you're looking at, you know, see a big move up, the whole market's going to go up with it. So you kind of almost have to constantly gauge Bitcoin to kind of, you know, get a vibe or a pulse on the market, so to speak.
I know you don't ignore them. You invest yourself in, is Ethereum one?
Oh, Ethereum for sure, yeah. I have several, you know, and then I kind of alternate between. I don't really hold two, like Ethereum and Bitcoin are probably the two main ones. I actually don't have any Bitcoin major holds at the moment. A lot of it's in Ethereum and a couple other places. But Bitcoin, Ethereum is what I actively trade daily. So
you want to show Ethereum? Is it doing okay?
Yeah, Ethereum's actually doing pretty much the same thing as Bitcoin here.
Okay.
I actually brought up a different chart for you today.
Yeah, I'm open to that.
Yeah, so Ethereum is pretty much just doing what Bitcoin's doing. It's not too exciting. Everything I've brought up in the last few weeks is pretty much where it's at. Still looking for a potential pullback to like 3,000, but
this one's doing okay
this one's a really good example of where like Bitcoin's getting a little pullback today, and then this has been actually doing really well. This is Internet Computer ICP.
Okay.
And it had this huge range that we've been basically sitting in since the end of last year. So we came up.
I've never heard of this, but that's not saying anything because there's so many.
There's many, right. So and this is actually, you know, available on Coinbase. It's been around for a couple years here. But yeah, we were trading really nicely within this huge range, right? Just kind of see the ups and downs here. And then the other day we actually broke out of it right here at 15,000. Got a nice little move up to 21.
It took off.
It broke into an old range that I don't have highlighted here, but the high of that range comes in like $28. So I do actually anticipate this gets a little bit more upside. However, ideally, we'd want to see, you know, move back to that level right there and then get a bump up. But yeah, a really nice move here out of ICP. Covered it last night on the Crypto Insider as well. And yeah, that's just one. You know, instead of talking about all the doom and gloom of Bitcoin, there are some, you know, coins and other assets that are doing really well.
And you brought up a great point. Anybody interested in not just hearing about Bitcoin, if you want to explore the others, Paul covers this. You have several shows, but one is specific to crypto.
Yeah, the Crypto Insider I do on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. and then on Saturday afternoons at 1 p.m. Generally take all the comments. You know, if anybody like wants me to look at something specifically, I look at all those and kind of cover those on Tuesdays. Saturday's a little bit more of a overall like end of the week, so kind of like get a weekly game plan in play. But yeah, cover like Bitcoin, Ethereum pretty much all the time, and then usually like 3 to 5 altcoins. Ones that I see, you know, as being potential big movers, maybe ones that have already moved and where to look for. But yeah, I do that both on Tuesday and Saturday.
Fantastic, I love it. He's on TikTok as well, YouTube, our verified YouTube channel. And,
all over the place.
Everywhere, exactly, and you're on top of it.
That's it. We've also got the new Trader's Edge trading group,
That's a
essentially.
course, right?
We got a course and the alert service, basically, that's going to to be launching here on Verified Investing later this week, if not by the beginning of next week for sure.
So people can really understand.
Yeah,
more
I break down exactly how I look at the charts, view it for the course side of things, and then in the alert service, basically, it's not all just only alerts. It's actually like all my analysis. So it'll be setups on multiple cryptos, all the trades I actually do take actively, day trade setups, swing trades, mid to long term holds, all kinds of things. So it'll be a little bit of an all-in-one place.
Okay, so keep an eye on out for that. That'll be later this week or early next week for sure. And you'll be back again next week.
That's it.
Thank you, Paul, very much. We appreciate it. And thank you for watching Trading the Close on this Wednesday. We will see you back tomorrow. Make it a great rest of the day. I was waiting for the hump day. Okay.